Hey everyone, and welcome to Mindful Mondays. We're going to talk about how to actually engineer your focus so you can conquer your week, no matter how crazy it gets. Let's dive right in.
So let me ask you something. Does this sound familiar? You've had a day where you're just running, replying to emails, putting out fires, just reacting all day long. And then, at the end of it, you lean back and think, what did I actually get done today? If that hits home, you're not just spinning your wheels. This is a super common, very modern problem.
And for so many of us, that stress doesn't even wait for Monday morning. It kicks in right here, the classic Sunday scaries. That little pit in your stomach, that feeling of dread, it's not just about the weekend ending, right? It's really about anticipating that absolute mountain of stuff waiting for you.
And here's the most important thing I want you to hear. You are not alone in this. This feeling, being busy all the time but feeling totally unproductive, it's practically an epidemic. It's this weird paradox of our hyperconnected world. And it is not a personal failing. So let's kind of pop the hood and see what's actually going on inside our brains.
Okay, so if we're going to fix this, we've got to understand the why behind it first. And that brings us to this really key idea from productivity expert Chris Bailey. It's something he calls your attentional space.
So what is attentional space? Well, think of it as the amount of mental real estate you have available at any given moment. The best analogy, and it's a great one, is to think of it like your computer's RAM. You know, that short-term memory it uses to run whatever programs you have open right now?
Here's how it works in practice. When you dedicate all your focus to one single important task, I'm talking about writing that big report or digging into a really tough coding problem, you're using that mental RAM just perfectly. All of your processing power is pointed at one single target. It's efficient.
But here's what happens when we try to multitask, especially with complex stuff. We're basically trying to cram like 3 giant software programs into a computer with not enough RAM. And what happens? System overload. Everything slows down, nothing gets the focus it really needs, performance just tanks, and we're the ones left feeling completely frazzled.
So, you might be asking, if our brains are so obviously better at doing one thing at a time, why on earth are we constantly trying to multitask? Well, it's a great question, and the answer is kind of frustrating. It turns out, our own brains are often working against us. They're actively looking for distractions.
There's actually a name for this. It's called novelty bias. See, our brains are hardwired to crave what's new and different. So every single time you switch away from that boring spreadsheet to check a shiny new email or a social media notification, boom, your brain gives you a little hit of dopamine, that pleasure chemical. And that creates this powerful feedback loop that basically trains you to get distracted because, well, it feels good.
Okay, I want you to just look at this number for a second. 40 seconds. What do you think that represents? What in the world could this mean for our workday?
That is the average amount of time we work on any given task before we get distracted or we interrupt ourselves. Just 40 seconds. And here's the real tragedy in that number. All of our best work, the deep, meaningful, creative stuff, it almost always happens after we push past that 40-second mark.
Okay, I know that sounds pretty bleak. That's the bad news. But here's the really good news. We can totally fight back. This is not a lost cause. So let's get into some real actionable hacks you can start using, like today, to reclaim your attention and get into that state of hyperfocus. And if you remember only one single thing from our chat today, please let it be this. This is the crucial point. Intention must always come before attention. Before you decide what to focus on, you have to decide why. You have to set an intention for where that precious focus is going to go. And here's a super simple but incredibly powerful way to put that into practice. It's called the Rule of 3. It's easy. Step 1. At the very start of your day, just decide on the 3 things and only 3 that you really want to accomplish. Step 2. Write them down. Put it on a sticky note, a whiteboard, somewhere you can't miss it. And step 3, let those 3 things be your compass for the day. They're your guide for where to put your focus.
All right, want a few more quick wins? I call these microhacks. First, you've got to tame your notifications. Seriously, be ruthless. Turn off everything on your phone and computer that isn't absolutely essential. Second, batch all those little tasks together. Like answering emails. Don't let them interrupt you all day. Do them all at once in a dedicated block of time. And finally, a great one for procrastination. Just do one thing. Just open the document. Just write one sentence. That tiny first step is often all you need to get the momentum going.
Okay, so now that we've talked all about focus, I'm going to throw you a curveball, the big twist.
Because once you've started to master focus, the next and equally important step is to master unfocusing. I know, it sounds totally crazy, but trust me, this is the secret weapon for creativity and for solving those really tough problems. So, let's make sure we're clear on the difference here. Hyperfocus, that's what we've been talking about, that intense laser beam attention on one single complex thing. But then there's scatter focus. This is when you intentionally let your mind wander and just roam free. Think about when you're on a walk, or in the shower, or maybe just staring out the window. That's scatter focus.
So why on earth is this so important? Well, scatter focus is how your brain actually recharges its batteries. It's also when you do some of your best big-picture planning for the future. And, maybe most magically of all, it's when your brain starts to connect all these scattered, random ideas that have been floating around, and that's when you get those incredible aha moments.
I've got another great computer analogy for you. Do you remember that old disk defragmenter tool on your computer? The one that would organize all the scattered files? Well, scatter focus is literally a defrag for your brain. It takes all these fragmented bits of information, tidies them up, organizes them, and creates clean, open space for new connections to form. It's brilliant.
And that really brings us full circle, doesn't it? As Chris Bailey says, attention without intention is wasted energy. Managing your attention might just be the single most important skill you can have in the modern world. And as we've seen, it all starts with intention.
So I want to leave you with a question to take with you into your week. Forget that massive, endless to-do list for just a second. What is the one thing, the single most important thing that you are going to focus on with real intention today?